Ted Leonsis, founder, chairman, principal partner, and CEO at Monumental Sports and Entertainment. So Ted was recently announced as a member of the NBA's new Blockchain Advisory Subcommittee, and I'm really looking forward to this discussion. It certainly touches on some of the biggest trends in the sports world right now. So Ted, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, and a very astute time for you to have this conversation. I'm looking forward to listening to the other speakers.
Yes, no, thank you. And I mean, I suppose first things first, Ted, I'd love to talk about the subcommittee, of course, and just kind of ask you, how are you, it's a big task to analyze such a new kind of technology and how it's intersecting with the sports world. How will the subcommittee be analyzing blockchain and NFT opportunities for the league going forward?
I think first you have to give credit to Adam Silver. He really is running the NBA like a CEO of a big digital tech company, and big public companies that are very valuable rely on their board of directors and committees within the groups. And so I chair the media committee, and the first deal that we did with Dapper was via Bill Koenig, and he runs media, and it came through the media committee. And when we had our first meeting to describe what NBA Top Shots was about, and the explosive growth potential that we saw, it was apparent to several of us that there was a mixed level of engagement and understanding of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And Adam thought it was best to take a group of owners and specialize, if you will, and just get our arms around and be able to present to the whole body of owners what is happening in the area. I have to say that there's a lot of talent that's on the committee. Mark Cuban really gets it. And for those of us who've been on the internet for a long time, we know this isn't about blockchain. We know this isn't about NBA Top Shots. We know it's about the reinvention of other parts of our business using this platform that's global, that's frictionless, and that can give accountability into the customers that we have. So identity and tickets and merchandise and how we unveil new jerseys. I mean, as we start to go down the road, it's a power plant, it's a platform for most of the parts of our business that have been analog, right? And, I've used ticketing as a great example. You see all the companies that are building value now via SPACs or IPOs. Their value because they have a big served market. It's a global market, 8 billion people, 6 billion on high-speed internet. We're in the local basketball or hockey business in a building, and we have 20,000 seats, and the building is closed because of the pandemic. And so what Top Shots and Dapper did, and I got into Dapper when it was Crypto Kitties. When I first saw the demo of Crypto Kitties, it was, well, blockchain has been around since 1980s. It really came to the forefront 1992-ish. And just the notion of being able to have transparent transactions, have a ledger, to be able to trust the currency, and to be able to make a one-time business transaction into a reoccurring revenue, which is what we have to do. When you think about a ticket sale, I sell a ticket for $200 on the face for $150 to a season ticket holder. I'm thrilled to do so. He sells it to somebody for $1,000. I don't know who he sold it to. Mm-hmm. I don't know who else bid. We don't get any cut of that. That means the players don't get any cut. The union doesn't get any cut. That person sells it for $10,000, same. This, like, bang, mitigates all of that. We know our customer, and we can turn an analog product into reoccurring revenues, which will drive value for everyone in our chain. And it's there for the taking. And now I look at it as a platform, and the league and third parties that partner with the league, teams, players will all be entrepreneurs trying to find the best ways to grow that pie. The committee will work with the league on what are the tools, what are the standards, who would be the best vendors, the best partners, what kind of economics would be around that. And it's not even the first, it's the preseason, or we're still in camp getting ready for preseason. But in a time of pandemic where our revenues have been cut dramatically and there's a lot of angst, this is the first powering green shoot that's been going up. And it's given people a lot of excitement and hope that blockchain can be a big driver of new business and new experiences for our fans.
And I'm so glad you touched on all that, because one of my questions is the time horizon for all this, Ted. If it can lead to such exciting new opportunities in ticketing and for fan experiences, what needs to happen for it to be adopted at a reasonable level? What might a realistic time horizon look like for that?
Yeah, what I've been trying to do is temper everybody, because having lived through the personal computer boom and then the internet starting, you get these kinds of things and the media covers things, and there'll be bad things that happen along the way. And to not look at blockchain solely through the lens of NBA Top Shot and flow, right? That cryptocurrencies, and there's going to be a lot of development in currencies. I'm an investor in StockX. StockX, if you will, is a currency, right? We take a sneaker, we authenticate it, we give you trust that that's what you bought, we store it, we create a marketplace and a sneaker, and now collectibles have become currency. You'll see over time that there'll be cross-currency exchanges. How do we do it now, how do we take our airline miles and our credit card points and put those together to book a hotel, right? So we'll see the birth of these currencies. We'll see there's going to be a plane crash somewhere on the collectibles business. What I just want everyone to do is not to go, aha, I told you that was a bubble. The internet wasn't a bubble. There were some companies on the internet that were bubble-like, but this is like the birth of a new internet. This is that significant. And for the first time, it will allow, and as I said, I can sell tickets to my games within about 100-mile radius. People will drive and come to a game. I have a Japanese player, Rui. We have an Israeli player, who's the first highest pick ever. They have real interest in our teams. I've had nothing to sell them, right? I can put a unsold ticket and a memory and an experience now and sell it to someone in Japan that values that very, very highly. They could then split out the paper ticket and go to another route to generate revenues to help pay down because they only wanted the memory. That's a whole new kind of revenue bundle that we can start to create. And now my served market on tickets is the world. And so as you start to understand what blockchain and flow and all of the cyber currencies are doing, I think that this becomes a much higher calling for the leagues and for teams than let's take trading cards or let's take a short video and give it some kind of currency that's based on there's only 100 of them or there's only 87 of them, and this will become a a e-commerce driver, a ticketing driver, merchandising driver. I could see our media business, all of our media partners wanting to get in on this, and that'll make our media higher. And it all goes into the digitization and globalization of our sport. And I look at big data and what we're seeing in sports gaming. We're investors. I'm an investor in DraftKings and in Sport Radar. And you see how it's upped engagement with fans. It's like the unintended consequence. And we see, you watch a game on local RSNs, and it's all being driven and powered by DraftKings and FanDuel and the like. So I view this as being very additive and positive. And we have a little bit of a head start in the NBA, and the people that are around the table all grew up in the tech industry, and so can add a lot of value.
Boy, there's lots to unpack there, Ted. One of the big things I want to touch on is the likening to kind of the growth of the internet. What are roadblocks that might slow down the adoption of any blockchain-based products and services and technologies nowadays?
Sure. I mean, it starts with the most basic, which is, can you trust the providers? I mean, obviously, one of the reasons that NBA Top Shots is working, powered by Dapper, is it has the NBA logo on it. We have to work very, very closely with our suppliers on safety, security, making sure that they have the backing to support the puts and calls that will happen within the business, and that they can scale it. Because, having grown up and gotten America online, it's hard, right? When you're first and you're just like growing exponentially, being able to scale the back ends is really important. Protecting people from hacking is going to be really, really important. Making sure that the financials, because it's global in nature, are buttoned down. I mean, there's basic business things that all of these businesses will face, regulatory matters that these companies will face. But because it's growing so fast, the world's best venture capital firms and PE firms and media companies are getting into it. So that'll legitimize it much faster than the birth of the internet.
Wow. Interesting. And now, in terms of the subcommittee for the NBA, is there anything that Monumental specifically is testing currently? You brought up some really cool ideas about your Japanese player, your Israeli player, and that opening up some windows to new ticket sales opportunities. Is there anything specifically that you're hoping to test in the short term here?
Well, what will happen over time is that I believe it'll be a bit more of a league-wide mandate, right? And we saw that over the last 10 years. I bought the Washington Capitals 20 years ago. There were no websites. I hired an independent web developer, gave all the employees laptops. And then NHL.com was born. NBA.com did the first deal with me at AOL when I was president of AOL. And there was no way to make a common platform. Everyone was doing it on their own until the commissioner said, we're going to do this league-wide. Then we started for analytics. I think we were at the Wizards, we were one of the first 10 teams to put the high-speed cameras to do the tracking.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it was, well, you might get some competitive advantage. Why isn't it an all 30 team? And the league did the negotiating with the parent company to get all 30 teams to do it. And we're going to see those kinds of things. 5G has to go into all of the buildings. What are the tools? What's the wallet? How will we be reporting? There has to be some commonality to be able to take the data and have a shared way to review and measure what we're doing. And so it'll be organic, it'll happen, but the league is so much better prepared for what will come because of the last 20 years of web development. And to me, we just have to protect against a few bad actors. I mean, there's going to be some fly-by-night people that try to come in and come out. And I think that we can play a leading role because of our brand, because of our big reach. Basketball is the second most popular sport worldwide. So we can be ambassadors, if you will, and bring products and services and games and highlights and new kinds of collectibles to a much bigger audience in a much more creative way, and one that young people over time will be getting more and more comfortable. I told this story the other day. I was, you can't do much inside. I started to play golf again, and I played golf with someone, and he smoked a cigar. And I haven't smoked a cigar in 20 years. And so the next time I went to play golf, I looked up a tobacco store, and I went to a smoke shop. I'm getting older. I'm not as hip as I used to be. And I walk in, and a smoke shop now is like all the jewels and the bongs and everything. And they had like 8 cigars. And I started talking to the guy in the store, and I look on the side, and they have a Bitcoin ATM. Yep. Not a regular ATM, a Bitcoin ATM. And I said, you're the early adopter, just like on the internet, the games company, the dark web obviously has emerged, but Bitcoin is the way that you would buy marijuana in a smoke shop, because you can't do interstate banking right now. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, but it's just a matter of time. And Bitcoin, while it's gone up and down in value, if you'd been an early buyer of Bitcoin, you would be sitting in good positions. We have a big client at the Wizards and the Capitals. They have a big suite, great company called MicroStrategy, very profitable, had a lot of cash. He used his cash to buy Bitcoin. But he just did a secondary offering to buy more Bitcoin. I've reached out to the CEO and said, we'll take Bitcoin as payment, right? Mark's taking Dogecoin. Everyone will do something just to not only get into the blockchain and NFT, but the other currencies. And I think that's important because it'll legitimize it, but it also will give more accessible access to lots of people, because, as I said, miles and credit card points and cyber currencies will all start to merge together, and you want to be very easy to activate those dollars in arena, teams paying bills and the like.
And being prepared for those requirements, what changes do you see to jobs within like a team or a league or an overall organization nowadays? It wasn't too long ago where someone running the analytics department for a team was brand new and really exciting, and now that's a major requirement. Are there going to need to be Bitcoin or blockchain specialists within each team at an individual level?
Yeah, I mean, data science is going to be redolent in every organization, in the business, also in the team side. I think I wouldn't think that it's out of the realm of possibility that leagues make acquisitions of software companies. Right? That I look at esports. We own a piece of Team Liquid. We play on 12 platforms. Our audience is worldwide. None of its customers are NBA customers. Behind me, there's a trophy. We won the NBA 2K championship last year. I put it next to the Stanley Cup replica because I think it's that important. Right? I think that video games and esports and data and gaming and gambling going into esports and blockchain around esports and cryptocurrencies are just natural in esports, and that it's possible that our video game esports business could have bigger reach than bringing 20,000 people a game into 15 arenas a night, right? Because that's kind of our served physical market. If you think about it, it's a small market. If you look at the world on how many seats in arena, by how many games does the league play that night, where, there's this notion of, are you making money for us? Are you generating revenues? Are you enhancing the brand while I'm sleeping? Well, the way you do that is you build global businesses. I have to remind people, when I first joined AOL as president, we had less than 1 million people online. And in 10 years, we got 33 million people online. I said, one day there'll be 1 billion people online on the web. And boy, was I wrong. Right now, there's 6 billion people online. The scale is enormous. And so if you limit yourself, you don't have high value. And what everyone wants to see, players, union, league, owners, is innovation and growth. And I think blockchain, these cyber cryptocurrencies, the innovation that we'll do on top of it will make the NBA an uber growth stock over the next decade.
Interesting, Ted. I love the bullishness. And on that note, what advice would you give to, maybe it's an individual other NBA team or a specific company that is trying to experiment with NFTs or blockchain nowadays, and they've never, experimented with it in the past?
Yeah, I would say that you've got to do the work. That's one of the reasons that the committee got to. You got to read about it. You've got to participate in it. That's why I admire Mark. I mean, I read, I participate, Mark buys. Right? Today I read that Jack Dorsey had, through NFT, took his first tweet. If you look, go to the Smithsonian, who sent the first instant message? That was me. I said,
wow.
Should I go and make that a memory and a collectible? Now, it's not my personality to do that, but it was really interesting when I saw what Jack Dorsey did 15 years ago, and I think I sent the first instant message 26 years ago. And so participating, being curious, not when a wheel falls off, something bad happens and the media pounces on it, not giving your organization pause out of fear that I knew something like this would happen. This is not a pet rock. This is not a one single app. This is the birth of something very, very big. And today is the worst day that blockchain will ever be. Every day going forward, there'll be more investment, there'll be more innovation, there'll be more products, there'll be more people that understand and are opening up and developing upon it. So I would ask people to be curious, do the work, read, participate, and work together to make it come so that the tree grows to heaven.
It's well said, Ted. And my last question for you is, you touched on this a lot, which is great, is comparing where we're at now with blockchain and sports to other industries that you have experience in or are learning about. What main kind of takeaways would you pinpoint for the audience where you're like, this moment right now with blockchain is similar to this moment, in XYZ, and you can kind of fill in the blank, whether it's in the sports industry, Ted, or just any other industry, the internet, technology,
sure,
et cetera.
Yeah. So I'll give you a great example. We're talking about Twitter. Today, I think, is Twitter's 15th birthday, and they've exploded. They're central to everyone's life, to your life. It's 15 years old. And if you read the article today, he talks about his inspiration on status. Jack wanted to start a company on status. And AIM, which was the godfather to Twitter, we had a box of status messaging. Okay. And that's what they thought was so inspirational. Well, we had a client at AOL. We did email, and then we added instant messaging. We pulled that out, and it went viral, and AIM became much bigger than AOL in terms of usage. And now Twitter, built off of that notion, that idea of viral marketing, social media, is huge. And so what I would say is learn your history, understand how you can innovate on the past. We certainly know how dollars were created. I've been studying a lot on why is it that when you go to a store and you pull out $100 bill and a $20 bill, and the paper's the same, the printing's the same, and one says 100 and one says 20, you have the faith that I give you $100 of value versus $20. And everything was based on gold, right? Mm-hmm. Our economy, the dollar, was backed by gold. And FDR wanted to collect all of our gold. They ran a campaign. Every American, being a good American, gave their gold. He shorted the gold, resold it to reserve the dollars, and created Fort Knox. And gold allegedly backs the dollar. Nixon was president. He went to China, and he knew how much gold we had. And he saw how big the global economy could be and said, we've got to get off of the gold standard. And there's this great documentary I watched the other day on the History Channel that asked, is there really gold in Fort Knox? I mean, is the psychological backing of that currency still there? And sentiment is most important in economic exchange. And, right now we're all beholden to the Fed. Keeping interest rates down is helping a lot of the innovation, what's going on Wall Street and investing. And a lot could go wrong, but there's daylight right now. There's a lot of things that have come together, but consumers, partners, everyone has to have confidence and trust in the platform, in the partners, and why NBA Top Shots is so iconic. We'll look back 10 years from now and say it kind of all started there. It was because we took a video highlight that wasn't creating any value, and the media committee and the leagues and the teams were frustrated that the world's biggest companies were benefiting from our digital highlights. Mm-hmm. And this new company helped to create a new marketplace that is done. It's going to be one of the biggest companies, taking something that was already there, blockchain, its own currency, our videos, mashed it up in a magical way, put it into the market, and the global acceptance of it was instant, which shows that there was this pent-up demand, but people didn't know what it was. Once they saw it and got activated, it's really, really taken off. So that reminds me a lot of the internet, where viral marketing, I helped to activate that. You would send the network effect. When we sent AIM, it was, you've got a message, not download the AIM client, right? Mm-hmm. So it was, oh yes, I want a message from my son in college. I'll click it to read it. And as I read it, the download happened. And then I would send it to my wife, who didn't have it, and say, check out what Zach is doing. And that's how viral marketing started. And bang, right? So, but it was a new way of doing marketing, which was read the message from a friend or a family member, not download the app. That was like, and that's a lot of what I think that Dapper and NBA Top Shots has created.
Well, Ted, you certainly have me excited about the future. I learned a ton from chatting with you just now. Really appreciate you taking the time and sharing some of your insights and talking about the new subcommittee. We'll definitely be following it closely. And again, thanks for making some time today, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much. Great to see everybody.